Good morning, dear students. Now welcome back to your business studies class. Now today we will start types of companies, but before moving to today's topic, I'll just give you a quick recap of what we have done yesterday. So yesterday we studied about the joint stock company, and we have seen that how the joint stock companies are formed. Means we have seen that in a joint stock company that there should be minimum two companies that are joining together. So in this sort of business you can have a big or a large scale companies. The problem of capital is solved in these joint stock companies. So we have seen that if the people and we have 2-3 companies are there, and all of them with their capital and everything come up together, then they can become a large multinational companies. So we have seen about the merits, demerits, everything. Now today we move towards the types of companies. So see how many types of companies do we have. First one is private company, second one is public company, and the third one is one person company. So see, as the name says, private means something which is owned by a single individual. Say for example, Eagle Software India Private Limited. Public limited company means the company whose shares are to be whose say for example hold is from the government, means they have a large interference of the government and it is held by the public. And the third one is one person company, wherein you have just one person as the member. Understood? Now let's see what these companies are in details. So the first one we will see about private company. So see, what's a private company? A private company is defined as a company by its article of associations restricted the right to transfer the share, has a minimum of 2 and maximum of 200 members, including the past, present and past employees. It means what? A private company is defined as a company who is restricting that what are the rights of the members. They cannot transfer their shares, plus everything is written in their articles of association. Yesterday I told you that companies need to prepare articles of association and members of memorandum of association. That is why I also told you that it is not an easy process to start and form a company. It takes a lot of time. It's a time consuming process plus a costly thing to start a company. So see, here they are saying that in the articles of association for a private company, the restriction is that they should have minimum 2 members and maximum they can have 200 members. Now this members doesn't include your present and past employees and all these things. That means excluding the employees and all, you should be having minimum 2 members and maximum 200 members. Now, this sort of company does not invite public to subscribe. Means you cannot take shares or cannot issue shares to the public. So you cannot give it to the public to its securities, and it is very necessary to use the word private limited after its name. Means PVT Ltd. Private limited. PVT for private, Ltd for limited. Understood? So they are saying that private companies, it is very important that you should have the word PVT limited at the end, plus this sort of companies minimum members should be 2, maximum could be 200. And please remember, transfer of the shares rights is not there, and they cannot easily ask people and subscribe the shares to the public. All these are the main key points for private company. Now moving to the second one that we have, see this. First, let's see the privileges of the private company. So what are the privileges of the private company? Please jot down all the privileges in your copy. First one, easy formation, means only 2 persons are required to form a private company. So private company can be comparatively formed very easy. Understood? So minimum 2 people is required, so it can be formed very easily. The second point that you have is no need to issue prospectus. It means you don't need to issue any prospectus to the public, because you are not giving or not subscribing the shares to public. Public is not invited to buy the shares of a private company. Why so? Because private company people may run away with the money of the people. If publics are giving the money, they might run away, close the business and go away. So if the public are not given any shares, then they don't even have to issue any prospectus. So prospectus they are not required to issue. Understood? Moving to the next point that we have, allotment of shares. Now it cannot allot shares and raise capital privately, because it is not allowed. The private companies cannot issue shares in the market and they cannot raise money from the market. So no need to issue the prospectus, that means no need of minimum subscription, means shares are only within the people who are the members. Outside parties are not getting the shares. Publics are not getting the shares. Understood? Moving to the fourth point that we have, starting of business. It means it can start the business as soon as it is incorporated. Means the moment your company has been incorporated means formed. So the moment you have formed your company, you can start your business. Not much legal formalities has to be done. So you can easily go for starting your business. Moving to the next point, we have board of directors. Now need to have only 2 directors minimum. Maximum number of directors could be 15 in private company. Please remember that the maximum number could be 15, but there is no need to, they need to have only 2 directors minimum. So minimum requirement for the directors is 2 and the maximum requirement for the director is 15. Please remember this, how many directors they require. Minimum 2, maximum 15. Understood? And moving to the last privilege that we have, not required to keep an index of the members. Means to keep an index, members' names and everything, you don't have to make that index. So this is again a very big advantage for the private limited company, since they don't have to do a lot of paperwork. So they don't have to keep an index for the members. These were your 6 privileges of a private company. Understood? Now moving to public company. So let's see what a public company means. As per the Companies Act 2013, a public company is a company which is not a private company. First of all, it's not private. In other words, it has no restriction on the right of the members. They can easily transfer the shares. They can easily take money from the people. But minimum numbers here should be 7 and maximum members, there are no limit. Means you can have as many members as you want. There is no limit for the maximum number of members. And they also permit to make any invitation to the public to subscribe the shares and debentures. Means you can easily raise money from the public because it is public's company. So public can invest, public can become a shareholder, debenture holder, because these companies have a control by the government. They will not run away with the money. So please remember what is public company. Let's see further what public company says. A private company which is the subsidiary of a public company is treated as a public company. Now try and understand. Suppose you have a private company. You and your friend is having a private company. But it is a subsidiary of a public company. Subsidiary means part of a public company. Big public company is there whose part is your private company. So then your private company is also a sort of public company, because you are a subsidiary of that public company. Subsidiary means uske andar ke ho. Understood? So this is again an important point. Moving to the last one, 1% company. So see what 1% company is. 1% company means a company with only 1% as its members. Means you have only 1% as the member. This is according to section 3 subsection 1. When you write this thing in the bracket, it means subsection. So it is section 3 subsection 1 of Indian Companies Act 2013. 1% company means a company with only 1% as its member. Understood? Now let's move to the next topic, between the private and the public company. So see what are the various differences. Again, this is a very important question. What is the difference between these 2 type of companies? It might come in your exam. So see the first difference that you have, number of members. So if you talk about a public company, minimum number of members should be 7. But in a private company, minimum number of members should be only 2. In case of public company, the maximum number of members can be unlimited. But in the private company, the maximum number of members can only be 200. So based on the number of members, we have this difference. Second, minimum number of directors. A public company should have minimum 3 directors, but a private company should minimum have 2 directors. So minimum number of directors is 3 and 2 for both the companies. Index of members. Public limited company should have maintained, they have to maintain the index of the members. They have to keep the name of all the members in their books. But in private company, it is not compulsory to make the index for the members. Understood? Transfer of shares. In a public company, there is no restriction to transfer the share. You can easily transfer your share to anyone. But in private company, you cannot transfer the share. There is a restriction in transferring the shares. Understood? Invitation to the public. Now, you can invite the public in case of public limited company. You can issue the shares, but you cannot invite the public in case of private company. You cannot issue the shares. So, these were your 5 differences of private and public company. To sum up, we can say that members minimum 7 and minimum 2, maximum unlimited, maximum 200. Directors required in public is 3, in private is 2. Index to be maintained in public, it is must, but in private it is not important. Transfer of the shares, public company can easily transfer the share, private company has a restriction. And last, public companies can invite people or private companies cannot invite the people or the public. Understood? Let's move to choice of form of business enterprise. That means how do we choose which form of business enterprise we need to do. So, in order to start the business, lot of factors has to be considered for choosing which form of business enterprise you should go for. So, let's see the first factor. Cost and ease in setting up the organization. You will see which business is easily set up in respect to cost. How much cost is required and is it easy to start? So, sole proprietorship and partnership are the most inexpensive form. You don't need much cost over there. And they have less legal formalities also. So when you talk about easy formation, sole proprietorship and partnership is the one where you don't need much money, plus legal formalities are not much. So accordingly you can choose. Secondly, liability. From the side of investors, the company form of organization is more suitable as the risk involved is limited. So if you are thinking as an investor, you will always go for company form of organization because the investor's liability is limited over there. But everywhere else the liability is unlimited. So you can now choose which one you want. Continuity. Sole proprietorship and partnership business lacks the continuity. There is no continuity. If the sole proprietor dies or the partners dies, the business ends. But if the business is intended for a long period of time, company and cooperative societies are good because the continuity is there irrespective of the members. Members may die, members may become insane, members may retire. So in that perspective, company and cooperative societies are better choice. It is all according to the points, like on which basis you want to choose. So according to these points, you can see which one you want to choose. Fourth, according to managerial ability, sole proprietor may find it difficult to have expertise in all functional areas because one person may not be an expert in all the areas. So others you can go for if you want. So based on that, you can choose your form of business enterprise. Capital consideration. Now, if the business requires huge capital, obviously company or cooperative society is better because how much can you invest? So sole proprietor, partnership is not there. That means joint into family business you cannot do. So if you want to have huge capital, you always go for a company because a lot of people can come up and give money and start a business. Understood? Degree of control. If direct control over operations and decision making is required, then obviously sole proprietor is the best one. You can go because directly you have your sole control, but others there is no sole control. In the partnership also many partners will control. In cooperative society government will control. In public limited company government will control. So if you think about control perspective, you have to go for sole proprietorship. And last one is nature of business. For large scale business unit where personal attention is not much required, obviously company is more good. If you don't want to give your personal attention, jo ho raha hai hone do, then go for company organization because it will be a huge company. You don't have to give lot of time and everything. There are many people who will look the company. You don't have to be attentive and alert all the time. But if you are doing partnership or sole proprietorship, you have to be alert. So this is the last factor which you have to see for choosing which form of organization you want or which form of business enterprise you want. Now, if I give you a comparative evaluation of all the forms of organization, so see, I have made this chart. If you talk about formation, sole proprietorship is easy. There is no restrictions at all. Joint partnership is also easy. Joint Hindu family business is easy. Cooperative society and company is not that easy. Understood? Because both of them are expensive and both of them have complex formalities. If you talk about members, sole proprietorship, you need only one owner. In partnership, minimum 2 is required, maximum can be 50. In joint Hindu also, minimum 2 persons should be there in the family. In cooperative society, minimum 10 adults are needed. There is no limit to maximum numbers. And in company, we have seen in private, minimum 2, maximum 200. But in public, minimum should be your 7 and maximum is unlimited. Understood? Now, if you talk about capital, in sole proprietorship and partnership, both, it is limited. How much can you invest? So, limited capital you can give. In joint Hindu family business, you should be having your ancestral properties. In cooperative society and company, you have, limited liabilities. Unlimited liabilities. So, it should be unlimited. You can have as much as you want. Understood? If you talk about liability, it should be unlimited. It is unlimited in case of sole proprietorship and partnership. In sole proprietorship and partnership, ultimately you have unlimited liability. In cooperative society and company, you have a limited liability to the extent of your share. But in joint Hindu family business, the liability of the karta is unlimited. Rest, all the members are limited. If you talk about control and management, obviously in sole proprietorship and partnership, the control is in the hands of the owner and the members. In joint Hindu family business, the control is entirely in the hands of karta. In cooperative society, the board of directors have the control. And again in company, the board of directors have the control. Understood? Continuity. Sole proprietorship is unstable. It might, be not stable because if the owner dies, continuity is not there. In partnership, it's little stable, but then again, it's not completely stable. Joint Hindu is stable. Even if the karta dies, the next person, elder members becomes the karta. But in cooperative society and company, both are stable because they have separate legal existence from the members. Understood what the comparative evaluation is? Now this made this thing end of chapter 2. Thank you very much. Please write everything in your notebooks. And coming week, we have the chapter test for both 1 and 2 separately, one by one. So probably Tuesday you will have for BST chapter 1. Accountancy will be Monday chapter 1. And Friday, Saturday will be again accountancy and BST chapter 2. I'll say everything in the group, so don't worry. Please submit your work on time and start preparing for yourself. Exam is again going to be multiple choice questions. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.